welcome to the Mo podcast.
A place where individual stories come to life.
This is how we need to be communicating with people. This is how we support people's personal development.
It's important to speak about people believing in people.
The more you're able to let go of your limitation, the more you step into your power, your inner authentic power.
Mo, a place for me, others, everyone. Hello, in today's podcast we will be hearing from Natalia Talkowska and we'll be learning all about her life's journey, starting in post-Soviet Poland, all the way to the path that has led her to working with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. This episode gives us some really incredible insights into the importance of connection and some really useful home truths about believing in your passions. This is a really great opportunity to learn more about the people who make up the Mo community, and we really hope that it inspires you. We've been away for a little while, but now we're back to share some fantastic conversations. There are a few final podcasts to be released, which Darren recorded a little while ago. We hope that you enjoy what he and his guests have to offer, and we hope that this recording will be a comforting reminder of the warmth and wisdom that he brought to our community.
So welcome everyone. It's Darren here, and I'm really pleased that today on the Mo Pod venture we have the wonderful Natalia. Natalia, welcome to the Mo podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. I'm really looking forward to this one. So now it's really funny. We were just having a quick chat before we sort of put this on live, and it's so funny because I wrote down on here the original Mo mentee. So I kind of, before we get into that and we get into the kind of gangster that is Natalia, let's kind of find out about you. So first off, who are you, Nat?
Who am I? I'm just a curious person wandering around this world trying to figure out some things. I'm just a simple, I think, curious person that was given this skill, I guess, where I can, in the same time, listen to people, make something out of it, and produce a visual interpretation of that. So I guess that skill kind of led me to a conversation with you. In the shortest way.
Yeah, and so many more levels. That's just a tiny part of the wonderful onion I've got at the moment. So I'm going to go with the onion metaphor. There's so many levels to you. It's amazing. So obviously you're in London now. We're in the UK, but that's not where you began life. So where were you born?
I was born in Poland.
What was it like growing up?
Small town, nothing really going on, post-communist town where everything is really much concrete and some greenery. And that's kind of what you grow up with, which I always thought like, oh, what a shame. Like, what if I grew up in like Paris or something, or New York, and I would have all this like visual stimulus since I'm young. But on the other hand, I think the gift that these places give you is the simplicity and having to come up with stuff and having to be very creative to come up even with your play and with the way you interact with your friends and where you go. And suddenly this boring block becomes your castle and you spend 5 hours running around coming up with stuff. So I think, yes, very much simple upbringing, very much in a small flat in Poland, which I think made my brain want to create as much as possible. So I'm one of those people that, for example, always drew, always came up with stuff, always recorded myself, always danced, always sang, always ran around, that kind of thing. Because when there's nothing really around you, you just need to make stuff up, I guess.
Well, absolutely. I completely agree. And imagination and Imagineers and creating that inner world and landscape is so essential. And as we know, everyone's got imagination and people forget that, and creativity, and people forget that. And we'll get into some of the things that you're doing around that. So there's so many layers to our relationship and friendship and everything that it is. And it's lots of things. One of the things that I've always known about us is the love we have for our mums. So, your mum, just for a second, just sort of share how important your mum is to you.
Well, she's been the mom and the dad. She's been the kind of person that always believed in me no matter what. And, she's been the person that if I wanted to try something, she would do everything she can to make that happen. And again, I grew up with in a place where, now if I look at young people, if there was an amazing dance school, I would be there. But there was nothing like that. So my mom just always was trying to cater to any of my silly ideas or buy me the crayons or buy me the papers or try to buy us the first computer or whatever. In that way, she was always there. But more than that, she was just always a very supportive human. And she had a lot on her back, but we are both, me and my brother, very grateful that we turned out, hopefully, to pretty decent people who are, trying to do pretty, hopefully valuable things and share our skills with the world. So I'm just very grateful that I have her.
Yeah, and I know family's so important to you. You always talk to me about you love being an aunt, and your brother is so important to you as well. So it's great that you gave him a mention there as well. So do you get to see them much, or is it all virtual at the moment? Have you managed to get home at all recently?
Yes, we're in touch, virtual. Thank God for that. My brother's just had a third baby. Don't know how he does it. So there's even more reasons to go and see them. So very much soon, I'm sure I'll be packing up and going on that plane. But yeah, we're all still in touch and everyone's great. So thank you. Yeah, we're good.
No, fantastic. That's fantastic. Right. So then school and then university, because I know you went to university. So where did you go to, what was school life like? And then where did you go to university?
School in my hometown, very much simple, nothing crazy. And I always struggled with there's not enough subjects that I want to do. It was very, this and geography and biology and stuff. And I appreciated learning these things, but I was whilst I was learning all the rivers in Poland, I was but where's art? Where's music? Where's this? Where's that? Where's dark animation? I was always a bit feeling there's not enough for my brain and I need more to kind of I don't know, learn from it. Then studies, I went to Wrocław, if anyone's familiar, if you've ever been, very nice city in Poland, southwest, one of those bigger ones, lots of students, very great energy. I studied languages. I could become a teacher of English to foreigners. And that led me to MA studies in London, in translation, bilingual translation, interpretation, which means that I could sit in Brussels with a mic, I guess that would be the dream, and translate people in real time or interpret their conversations. And that's kind of where it led me. And purely I picked languages because there was nothing I could do with art that would practically give me a job. So the nuance in Poland was always don't go to art school. Because what are you going to do afterwards? You're going to just sell your paintings somewhere and become a non-earning person. And I loved always art, but I was also very pragmatic and practical. So language was another thing that I really loved. And English was coming to me very easily. I studied for many years. So I was okay, let's go the language way. We'll see where that takes me.
Yeah, it's really interesting because obviously Mirka, my wife, is Slovak, and she took the same path as you for the very same reasons. It was that was the thing. So it's really interesting what gets shared in the schooling systems, in those regions around. That's a really important job, and it's seen as a really high status job as well to be in Brussels as a linguist and a translator. And it's such a skill. I mean, such an incredible skill and talent to have. So at that point, whilst you're doing all this, how is your fervent, artistic, creative, imaginative mind, how is that playing out in your life? So are you doing all your doodles? What are you doing about cartoons and art? How's that playing into your life while you're studying this MA and your degree?
So doodles and drawing and cartoons and making anything with art was always there. Since I was a kid, since I remember. So it's one of those things where someone says, since I'm 2, I sang. Well, since I'm 2, I drew. So it was my escapism. It was my safe place. It was my happy place, you name it. It was giving me all the things that I needed to. So it was making me kind of go into this different world. And I was always creating Disney, Japanese anime, cartoons, Looney Tunes, you name it. I was just in awe. My biggest dream was always, if I could ever work for Disney, that would change my life. I still do. If anyone is from Disney, please call me. But,
absolutely.
So it was just a way for me to just be me, I guess, and just escape into my own world. And my mom always said, give her paper and pen and she's happy. And it was that simple. I just would copy for hours, draw for hours. And whilst I was going through schools and everything, there was always somewhere there, but it was there. It wasn't anything that I thought of seriously. I wanted to study it, but again, there was nothing character animation or something specific that I could do. It was nothing like that. So it was there as a hobby, as a art form. I did few like kids books, illustrations when I was studying in Poland. I was paid, I think, oh my God, doesn't even matter how much I was paid, like nothing, but I was the happiest person when I did that, because it was first time when in like a professional manner, someone wanted my art, my skill from me other than that what I'm studying. So that was very exciting. But that's it. It was always on the back burner, always somewhere there, as a hobby.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And we share the absolute love of Disney. The fundamental difference is you can draw and I can squiggle, but not draw like you. I mean, it's amazing. And we'll get to that story. We'll get to that, when we met and one of the things that happened for me, and I really want to hear your side of that, because we've never really gone into depth like we are today. But I love Disney. And here's a really ridiculous thing, right? So, I use the little D, as that's my, that's how I sort of sign off. So if you look at the Disney signature, the new one, it's got a little D in it. So there you go. So I always think, oh, look, you see, like that's me trying to be an Imagineer. It's like even Disney is saying, go on, be it. I'm only kidding. But it's so funny what the creative mind can kind of spot. But I love Disney, absolutely love it. So hopefully, have you never worked with Disney in your capacity, like in all the things that you've done?
Yes and no. They were in the room, which I was just the happiest person. They were in the room when we were working with Google. They were the clients. I was in the same room. I was in Hammersmith in their offices, and I was having the best time of my life. But never.
Well, we're going to deep dive on all the wonderful organisations that you've worked with, including prime ministers as well, which is just amazing. Now I can't wait to get into that side of the story. So let's take it back. So you've left Poland. You've come and done an MA in London. Yeah. So what university was that?
University of Westminster in London.
Okay.
Simple,
yeah.
Yes.
And what was it? What was it? Or was there something that said, I want to go to London? Or did you just pick a map and go, I want to do this course?
No, I was completely, there was no idea. I always had big dreams, but it was a sheep factor effect. So my friends started talking about it at the end of the uni. And they were like, should we go to London? Like we could study in London. I didn't even, it's so weird. There was no one talked about it. No one offered it. There was no international kind of exchanges in my area, nothing like that. So I was very much like, okay, I'll pass and I'll continue my life as a translator or something. I'll move somewhere. Should I move here? Should I move here? Don't know. I knew I don't want to stay in my hometown because there's really nothing to do. So my brain needed more. But it was few friends talking about moving. And at the end, the funny story, everyone fell out for some reason. I don't even know what happened. Drama of young people. So I went on my own with 2 luggages. Wow. Terrified, not knowing anyone, having a room in Bermondsey for £80 a week or something set up. Yeah. And terrified. My first flight in my life. Yeah. So that was like...
Jeepers. And so what year is this? Where are we in sort of time? 2008. Okay, so 2008. So you've come to London. Was that your first ever trip to London?
Yes.
And obviously your English now is exceptional, but what was your English like then, your spoken and written English?
So I would think similar. I just had, I think, more American accent, because at the school they were teaching us American accent, and I picked it purely because I loved Friends. There was no other deeper thought to it. And I think after coming here and like talking to people for ages, and people say can't rather they can't, just mix it up, and it's like a Polish American English fusion.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, we love fusion. Okay, so 2008. So it's a year's course. So that takes you what, 2009, end of September 2009, somewhere, or July 2009, something like that, was it? So what happened then?
Yeah,
you finished uni.
I was supposed to go home. There was no plan. Me being me. What do you do? Back in old days, you go on Gumtree, you research meetups, you research things that young people can do. I joined this free thing where you can like film people, interview people, meet new people. I went to all sorts of events, and the Twitter came up to the world, and I started going more to Old Street and Shoreditch, where all these cool startup people started hanging out on Fridays for free with a beer. And my curiosity was a bit like, what is this world of these people just catching up? Like nothing that I had an experience with, that you can just go and ask someone for a coffee, and that doesn't have to mean anything. You can just talk to a very interesting person. And I was doing so much of that with my silly creative brain that I was like, what can I do to stay here? I like it here. I want to stay here. I need to support myself. So I need to get a job. And I got a job whilst I was studying because I wanted to support my mom paying for me staying there. And that was a big ask. So whilst I was already studying, I was teaching. So I became a teacher for special needs kids, for in regular schools, and I was teaching art on and off because it was kind of like through agencies, not a real school hiring me. So it was very confusing a bit and kind of last minute. So you could get a call in the morning and like, do you want to come for a week to the school? Or do you want to come for this morning at 6 a.m.? Someone would give you a call. It was so tiring in that manner. But then I got a job at school for like a year or something. So I was teaching through quite a few years, and I could stay and just feed my curiosity.
And then, so let's go to that moment where you and I sort of collided, and I think it was on Twitter, wasn't it? So yeah, tell me the story from your perspective, because we've never really talked it through. Like, you know, we know there was that moment, and we know that was that period. But yeah, we've never discussed this. So I'm really looking forward to this. So so what happened? So tell me, you know, bring it up to speed. What year is it, and what happened from your perspective?
So I would think 2012. I would think that's how time started, or 2011, and I wouldn't know. So somewhere there, this magic happened. We had a mutual friend. I was all over Twitters and social, and as I said, kind of meeting people, talking to people, just being curious. And I was very miserable at my job because I wasn't teaching anymore. Teaching was lovely and was so fulfilling, but there was so much admin, so much part of it that I was like, ooh, this is not entirely what I want to do. So then I was like, oh, I'll go to a startup. Let's do the whole startup thing. Everyone does startup. I can do that stuff. Let's do it. So I became a kind of a community manager, you name it, at a startup. And it was not great. I would just say that. It was the longest hours. I was paid less, I think, than the minimum wage in the country. So it was not as you would imagine. And it was literally just sitting in front of a computer for hours without any breaks. God forbid you have a break. So at that point, it was a bit like that frustration grew in terms of, okay, I want to be in London, but I also don't want to kill myself. There's no point. I know I have other skills that I can maybe I'll go back to Poland. Maybe I'll try and do something else, but I was quite stuck. So famous Twitter tweet. I was told about you through a mutual friend. So that was the kind of how I found you. I looked you up, of course, on the internet, as everyone does. And I tweeted you something around, hi, Darren, I'm Natalia. I draw a lot. I would love a coffee or something. I don't even know what the tweet said. I'm sure we can find that famous tweet. And to my surprise, because it's not that everyone just straight away answers you and is ready to give you their personal time to a stranger, because why would they? You actually responded. You were like, okay, let's meet for breakfast. You were very quick. I was like, almost like, wait, I didn't process this yet. Yes, because I knew you were like, I knew you were doing Mo, and I knew you were a very exciting coach and consultant. And I was just looking at all your business. I'm like, interesting person. So before I know it, you came from Greenwich, I think, all the way to Earl's Court, because my sad self was starting job very early. And around, I think, 7 a.m. or something, we went to the dodgiest cafe where I couldn't even buy you probably a coffee or something properly. I think I did, but it was just not a great place. And I'm sitting there opening my sad little book with my illustrations that don't make any sense, don't connect at all. It's just this and that and this, but that's all I had. And I'm like, I know there's more in me. This is what I do. I'm working here now. I'm so upset. I don't know why I'm even wasting your time, but I know you're an interesting person. Can I speak to you? What do you think I should do? What do you think I could do? That's kind of all I can remember from my perspective, feeling like a silly person for wasting your time. Here you are sipping your tea. And that's where the magic started. I think it was a quite profound hour for me in my life, I always say, because of the things you told me, because how clear you were with me, how I think you saw something in me before I could see it. And I was literally like, the best word is flabbergasted. Is that the word? I was like, wow, what just happened? So, yeah.
So what was the... Yeah. So we'll do that. And what was the outcome of our conversation, from your perspective?
My perspective was, you were like, all I can remember very strongly, you were saying things very clearly. You have a talent. You're wasting your time here. What is this job? This is my number. Call me up. Make a website. I don't know what you need to do. Cards, whatever. You've got something here. Call me up. When you have these things, like, just sort yourself out, because this is like wasting your time, this job. So you were very like, there was a lot of love, but there was a lot of like strict kind of like, what the hell are you doing? And it was like almost like a wake up weird conversation I needed. Although I never met you before. You're not my friend. You're not my family. Who are you? So when you left, I remember I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I met this person. Like, he's this businessman. And like, he said, he gave me his number, like, and something, of course, like, it can sound so strange to everyone.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But I just knew there's something there. You were like this kick in the butt, this invisible kick in the butt. You didn't do anything, but you did so much. So that's my perspective, how I remember this. It was like a power hour for me. I went to that job and I was just like, I need to do this. Whatever that is, I need to do this. I have his number.
Well, I think it's interesting because it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I remember it similar to that, and also there's another fundamental bit for me that I want to bring out. So it's but the thing so what happened for me was absolutely right. You messaged me, and I don't use Twitter; it's not a thing. And I do. It's so funny. I do get how some people's cynical minds would go, "Oh, what's this? Dodgy." A young lady meeting a guy that she's never met, and but I just remember you sending me a message, and I'm going, oh yeah, I'd love to meet you. Let's have a conversation. I was very much at that point in my life. Mo was just beginning. We'd just done the work with Kids Company. We'd just finished that piece of work, The Pioneers, which was just an amazing period of time working with that fabulous charity. And Mo was just launching or about to be launched. And I just, you just came into my orbit, and I went, yeah, no, love to meet you. Let's have breakfast. And what happened for me was that you were sitting there, and you're telling me your story, and it associates so much with my own personal stories for different reasons, even though we come from different places. And I sat there looking at your portfolio of work, and I was just like amazed, because I used to just draw all the time in school, and my teachers would tell me off and say, you're not listening. And I'm like, I'm really listening. Like, I'm using my imagination. I didn't know that's what I was doing. I was just being. And so I stopped drawing, because I used to draw chads and all this other stuff. But I just sat there and saw you and what you were doing. And in my head at that time, Mo was really looking to how can we use education. And I just started joining dots. I'm like, oh my God, like I could work with Natalia, Nat, she could, we could work so well together. And she's just incredible. Like, and I just heard you in this shitty job with shitty people around you, not the people, but the environment. And I just, I was like, this can't happen. And I was looking at your work going, she's got massive talent. And I suppose I was like, I really believed in you. I really saw that potential. I think that's the gift of a coach and a mentor. And as parents, all people have got that sort of gift if you want it. And I absolutely fundamentally believed in your gift. And I remember it slightly, I don't know if you remember it like this, but I remember it going, give up your job and we'll hack you. Like, we will get you set up. And we don't know what it is, but we'll get you set up. And it was ridiculous. Like, we'd had an hour together. Like, we didn't know each other, but I just knew intuitively, and I'm very intuitive with the way that I, at my best, I'm in intuition. And I just remember going, this will be good. This will be good. Absolutely amazing for you. But it'll prove what I believe, that if you believe in people, they can kind of surprise you. And you have done nothing but constantly surprise. Not surprise, because I always believed in you, but you just, what you've built. So absolute pivotal moment. And you then you left that meeting. It's so lovely to hear you rang your mum, and I'm sure she was going, who the hell is this guy? And I remember I met her a couple of years ago, and she's amazing, and it was so lovely to finally meet her. So you go out, you leave that job, and you get your business cards, and tell the story. What's happened? Where have you taken it to now? We don't have to dwell on that story too much. We've talked about that moment. It was an amazing moment. We're friends for life. It's like, I love what you're doing, but it's amazing what can happen in just an hour. There was so much for me in that, not just for you. That's the thing to say, is like, this wasn't just about me being kind. It was like, I saw your potential. And one of the first projects we did was that we did the Mo Kids book A to Z. Do you remember? Like, I think 2 people bought it, but you know, that was where I was learning about Mo Foundation and what the potential of Mo could be with young people and and it was like you were helping me to prove that actually you can believe in people, like genuinely. Like, you know, that's why Mo's gone on to believe and support so many people, because you were one of those critical people in my life as I was exploring this as the founder and as the kind of creative entrepreneur, because I didn't know if I was mad. Like, I often think I'm mad, but I mean, I didn't know how mad I was. Does that make sense? And if it was reasonable to believe in believing that you can help people like that. Does that make sense? So it wasn't just, I'm there to help you. I'm not that, you know, I am that nice person, but I'm also not that nice person in the sense of there was so much in it for me that I probably didn't know. And it's only when you look backwards, like 9 years on, I can reflect on it and go, what was going on in that moment? Like, why did I do that? And how did we do that? And how did she do that? And like, it was just amazing coming together of worlds. Amazing.
I think, like, I don't want to go too deep because I'll start crying or something, because I spoke about this moment so many times, and I will always speak about it because, as you say, it's important to speak about people believing in people. Like you coming to see me all the way from different part of London, someone you never met, younger than you, in some shitty job, trying to say something to you with your world being busy, with your family, with your work. Like, again, what a gift. I think for me, what I'm learning that your behavior taught me even more to give that behavior. It's kind of like you just give what you got, you know what I mean? So what I'm learning from me to kind of share that energy and knowledge with other people, and you know, I love to mentor now other people, and I love to help where I can and whatever. But I think it's very important to mention, I like to be very practical about this story, because I didn't have any savings with my shitty job. You came as a person to say, yes, this is my number, let's figure this out. But you also said, I'm going to support you for 6 months financially, where I was like, what the hell? Who says that? We agreed on a rate and you gave me a challenge. You said for 6 months, I'm going to be kicking your ass. I'm going to be seeing you often, talking to you often. This is my office. This is where I want to see you, or wherever we are in London. Number one, you go off and show your work, because damn it, it's good, and you need to do this more and speak to just more people, and you need to be very open that this is what I do now. You need to believe that this is what you do now. You're not a teacher, you're not this, you're not that. And you were very specific. If you earn something in that month, we minus that in what we are investing in you, so that you earn that. Well done. If it's a really bad month, for 6 months, I'm supporting you. And I always say that because for so many people, like, I couldn't do that with my state of mind and being on my own in London, having no savings, to just leave a job. It sounds amazing and movie-like and inspiring, and like, I would love to do that, but there's a rent to pay. It's an expensive city. Let's be honest, right? I'm young. There's nothing coming at me for me from someone. I have no support in that way. I have the most loving family, but it was very clear, if you want to stay in London, gotta sort yourself. And that's what I always was. So when you came with that, let's call it helping starting hand, I was in shock. When like first month came and your lovely assistant, you know, literally emailed me and everything. And she was like, Natalia, yes, so this is for this month and all that. Please let us know how it's going. I'm like, what the hell in the world? We didn't sign anything. I need to say that part, because I think it's very, very important not to miss that yes, you believed in me as a person. You were there to, in a weird, magical, cosmic way, wanting to help me in the right moment, because it was right moment for you, but also you supported my start. That is something that I couldn't sign up for. I couldn't find, I couldn't get. So that was the biggest inspiration for me, and like the biggest energy I could get, because oh my God, how much energy that gave me to go out there and prove myself, and to myself, to you, to everyone, that I can do this thing. Whatever this thing is, I'll figure it out. So I think it's a very important thing to mention, because for the 6 months you were mentoring me intensely. You were kicking my butt, as I call it, because that's the style I really like, where you give a lot of love, but you're also very strict in the way that, you know, you already know what you need to do. And if I was anywhere going a bit whiny about things and being like, oh, but no one's replying, but this, but that, you would literally get up on your foot and be like, come back when you're more positive. Because like you did that to me once. And I was like, oh, no, you didn't, but I have so much to say still. And that was
what a dick. What a dick I can be at times, playfully.
Darren, that was like a pivot moment. That was such a weird positive slap on my face, where I'm always very positive. I'm always very, I'm going to do it. But I'm a human as well. So at some point I was a bit like, there were moments where I was not believing in myself, struggling. Something was not connecting. I was a bit, So when I came with that sort of attitude, you were like, come back when you're more positive. Let's talk about it. And then 2 days later, I'm like, I figured it out. And again, you didn't do anything, but you did so much, So that's something, to me, that's profound. That's profound.
So I just want to unpack that slightly. Just so any young people listening, I think the first thing to say is that, I call it the fallacy of hierarchy, is that, Nat, we were the same. We're all humans are the same in my mind. There is no hierarchy, and I get the power plays and everything else, but I think that's really important to say. So the first message to any young people is, if there's someone that you are looking up to, well, first off, why are you looking up to them, and understand that. But also, if they haven't got the humility to actually respond to you, then they're not the nice person that you might think, or they might be too busy. It's quite interesting. I really think that's important. But ask them. That's the bottom line. Is what I wanted to get across. Is ask. Like, if you don't ask, you'll never get. So I think that's important. Second thing, I think it's really important. Yeah, you've got to get your safety net right. And that's what we got, your safety net. But the other things we did was we got your psychological safety net right as well. And we believed in you, and got you to believe in yourself, and got you into that optimistic space and that creative space. And I think that's but we're really interesting listening to you there is your mindset shifted. You started to really believe in yourself and in your vision. And that for me is like, that's the critical moment, because the thing we always say, and what you're talking to is what I call in Mo and what I call in my life is tough love. So it's loving, but it's tough. It's like, no, come on, you can do this. Like, I'm holding the highest beliefs in who you are and what you can achieve in this world. And I'm not going to kind of back down from that. I'm not lowering my standards for you. And I'm having this debate with my 14-year-old at the moment, because she's saying to her mum and her stepmum and her family, oh, Dad's holding these really high standards for me, and he's expecting me to get A's and everything else. And I'm like, too damn right I'm holding you to high standards, darling, because, you've got that potential, and like all kids have got that potential. And I'm going to hold that standard for you until you're holding it. And guess what? She's starting to get A's. And it's just amazing. It's amazing. Like, when we believe in people more than they believe in themselves, eventually they start believing in themselves, and then they don't need you anymore in that sense. They're off, and they're out there doing it like you're doing it, supporting others, which is incredible. So I think there's a lot in what you've just shared around your whole mindset shifted. And I think the more that there was the support, and the more you could trust that support. So Tracy emailing you and going, here we go. That must have been like, yeah, I can get it. Because I do know, like anyone, you would have gone, is this for real? Like, is this person? Yeah. And yeah, no. And trust me, if I could do this for more and more people, I would, but I didn't want to go down that sort of accelerator route. Mo doesn't have unlimited funds. I certainly don't have unlimited funds. So, and also I quite like the hack. And I think that, again, the lesson for me was it was a time-based agreement. There was no contract, never will be. It was a kind of person-to-person agreement, and you nailed it. Like, you really got it. You really got it. So can you still remember what that first 6 months was like?
I mean, intense, amazing, and challenging, but I was so excited always to speak to. And the funny thing, the psychological twist here is, yes, you promised a monthly pay if I don't do well, but the twist was I wanted to beat that. So yes, depending on a month, things happen, things don't happen. I was actively doing things. That's why I had this little, whiny moment and then went up, like probably anyone else. But it was a very interesting twist where I saw that actually I'm doing well. And like, it was like a game against what we promised. So I wanted to beat that, maybe just because the type of person I am or whatever. But sometimes, of course, things worked against me. There was no one that was interested, whatever. But even if a £200 came in from my, let's say, energy from my work, I was the happiest person. So it was just this fast-paced, intense, almost, I don't know how to call it, but for me, it's like you set me up for my next chapters of life. Literally, I'll always, whenever I'm a bit lost or whenever something's challenging or whatever, I'll always go back to that time. Meaning, I'll come back to the things you told me. I'll come back to the things you taught me. I'll come back to our conversations, the good ones, the bad ones, the whatever. It's just such an important, the most important thing about it was that someone believed in me that's outside of my family. Because, you know, hopefully we have all families where at least one person cares about us, or friends. So that was very strange that out of my circle, someone literally saw much more even than I could see. And once, as you said, once someone does it to you actively, intensely, you know, like it's like you're like, yeah, I'm that. I am that. Like, I am that. And then like it changes from like, am I that? I'm freaking that, you know?
Nice.
And not to become cocky or anything like that, but just to become, hi, I'm Natalia. I visualize things. I'm an illustrator. I'm a designer. I'm a consultant. I'm a strategist. You name it. It grew in my confidence with time, of course, the things that I can say about myself. But I always come back to that time that it was the most kind of, you know, it set me up for the type of person I am. Like, you know, we always talk about it. Even if things go down, and things will go down, that's the time to reflect, to think, to be active, to get in touch, to work. When the things go up and everything, of course, manage them and do them, but never lose that sort of, you know, always work on that flow, right? Like when it's low, you need to do the work. When it's up, you need to maintain that work. And it's just always been that, so many lessons in this short time that I wish we had everything filmed almost, you know.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting, is it? Because quite often with things about the sort of entrepreneurial creative journey is that people talk about the business side of it. What they don't talk about is the kind of psychological and emotional and the mental journey we have to go on, you know, because it is, as creatives anyway, every creative I've ever met, and I'm a creative, different type of creative, or people that are imaginative. And again, I think everyone is imaginative, but there is a real roller coaster in people's lives. And it is a roller coaster running your own business, to the bits you're saying, the highs of, my God, people are really believing in this and buying into it and want to be part of it, to, oh, I've just lost a gig for some reason and I can't work out why, and I need to kind of reflect on it and kind of understand that. And it's, you know, it's learning how you navigate through that roller coaster, and then also set yourself up for success. And we can get into some of those fundamentals in a minute around the sort of cash cow and making sure that you put money away and save and all those, because I think they're really important lessons, you know, that I've learned in my own entrepreneurial journey. You know, I've just been through COVID, and it's had very little impact on me because of the fact that I live very humbly. I save my money and I invest my money, and then it's like when the bad times come, like, my family are protected. And I think that's what I always want any entrepreneur to do, because the bad times will come. You know, we've just gone through the second economic crisis, you know, in the world, you know, maybe the third in the last 10 years. It's that cycle is only going to increase. The volatility, I think, that we're going to experience is only going to increase. But anyway, rather than philosophizing and about the economics, what I want to get into is let's get up to speed with where you are right now, because I think that is just, for me, it's just phenomenal what you've done. And it is you that's done it. And I know you've got a team and a community, but you have made this happen. Like, you have to own this. So tell us where, you know, 2021, we're recording this, what is it, March, April 2021. It's just about turning to April, isn't it? Where is Natalia, you know? Where is Natalka Design and all the things that you, so when you look at your life design, which is something we've done, dream boarding is something you've helped me with as well. You know, when you look at your life design, tell us where you are right now, you know, including your wonderful flat home by the river.
Well, now that you say that, you know, like, that's one of those little dreams, not little dreams. I underestimated. I always dreamt of living anywhere by the water, by a canal in London, and here I am. So so there's so much to be grateful for. Right now, I'm 35. Natalka Design is over 9 years. So next year, I'm doing a big party with humans, no masks. I hope you come, because you're the main guest. But yeah, no, it's crazy. So Natalka Design, 9 years. Doodly Doo follows it with 7 years, because it's the events, doodling, you know, kind of experiences that I popped up after Natalka Design. That's very much running side by side to it. I've got a small team. Yes, I'm very proud of it. I even hired someone through pandemic, which freaked me out, and I did it, and it's working well. And I believed in that person. What a wonderful person. What a smart guy. So I've got a small team. But since beginning of Natalka Design, it was always remote. I always really enjoyed working remotely and being set up digitally. Yes, I had to go in person to meet people, to consult them, to work with them. But I always believed in working with any type of person with any skill. Of course, my job allows me that, so I understand that not everyone can do that. But till now, our main animators in Venezuela, our designers in Berlin, most of us are in London, around London. My comms person is in by the sea in England, and so forth and so on. So yes, it's a bit of a crazy one because, of course, pandemic hit. Yes, it killed off all our live experiences with clients. So all the events, all the internal sessions, you name it, because everyone, of course, had to log themselves down and forget any events. That industry was hit massively. But thankfully, because how I've been set up for many years, we work on iPads, we work on computers, we work on Wacoms, we work on software. So we can still provide any visual kind of content and pieces of work from the comfort of our homes. So as much as pandemic hit a lot at the beginning, because no one knew what the hell's going to happen, now I see for many months we're doing really well and we're coming back because people need to still engage their clients and people still need to have conversations and people need to share their stories and their messaging. So here we are still very much, and thank goodness I always believed in that remote setup because that really massively helped me. I never wanted a big, massive, shiny office for some reason. I never cared to take care of 20 people on one time because I knew I wouldn't be able to. So I just gradually, very much, step by step, make decisions. Sometimes it's wrong, sometimes it's good, sometimes I fail, sometimes I go up. And that's just the journey, like you say. It's you never know, but you just, if you believe in it, you can kind of try and have that trajectory, have your savings, and just step by step. I'm very much kind of, a risk, but very calculated risk, if I may.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm going to pick them off because I think there's also another part to you, which is TEDx, that I want to bring up as well, right? Because it's incredible what you've achieved with the support of that wonderful organization, but also that, it's built a platform for you to share lots of different stories and insights. So first off, to bring it to life, let's talk through Natalka Design and what it brings to the world and what it does and the portfolio of work that you do, the creative work you do. So that's part one of that. But then also I want you to share the roster of, organizations, corporates that you've worked with. I saw that you just put out one of my favorite organizations, London Air Ambulance, also you're working with Microsoft. And, I just saw your visual about that. So you've just done something about London Air Ambulance, which I love. Chief exec is Jonathan Jenkins, who's a good friend of Mo as well, and comes in to speak at our Dream Factory. So that's why I was laughing when I could connect you two, and you might already be connected. And but it was just funny. It was a funny little moment for me. So yeah, the amazing clients. And it's also, the other thing I want you to share is it's taken you onto TV back in your homeland and internationally as well. So there's 3 or 4 things there. So what does it do? Who does it do it for? And where has it taken you? Who, what, where?
Who is it? So Natalka Design, basically, it's a company that does effective communication through visual storytelling. I finally nailed my line, Darren, after years.
Love it.
That's all the work you do during pandemic when there's no calls. You think about what you actually do. The services are very clear at this moment, branding and marketing, all through visuals. Internal comms and strategy, workshops, and live events. They can be virtual, so we cover live events with visuals, the content of them. So it's very clear, kind of, we just help you engage with your message. And the funny thing is that since the beginning, actually, when one of our first projects, I joined you ages ago at Network Rail when you were working with these guys, amazing team. Yeah. And that was ages ago. And suddenly, yes, I found myself in this corporate land and FTSE 100 businesses and all the tech giants. And, it was surprising because at the beginning I thought, and with the biggest happiness in my heart, if there would be any individuals that want to work with me, or maybe some SME, or maybe a charity or anyone like that, I would be the happiest person. But suddenly the door, was knocked by the biggest names because they actually are often the ones that struggle, especially internally, to make sense out of all their information and all their change management and all their strategies and plan on a page and values and what does it mean. So yes, I was very surprised that since the beginning it was quite very much known names knocking on the door, and that gave me also a lot of confidence that I'm into something here. There's something here, that I can really help people do. So that's kind of what Natalka Design is. It's very much a global brand.
So you're being shy, so I'm not going to. But it's, imagine all the big tech players, all the big organisations. You just have to go and look on Natalka Design, and it is just a smorgasbord of incredible brands and well-known brands that you have worked with. It's just phenomenal. I'm so proud of what you've done. And like, I get that, I remember that Network Rail and a bunch of others, and people like Catherine Tolper has really helped you, and other people that we know in our sort of friendship community. That's what's been so beautiful, is that you've come in, you've helped people that I know, and then you've helped other people, and they go, oh, we love this. And then they go, oh, have you spoken to X, Y, Z? You've really built that wonderful brand where people just go, oh, you need to speak to Natalia because she's brilliant at this. And just to bring it to life, so some practical examples. So, for instance, like, I'd have a conversation with you, and you'd just dream board visually what we're sharing. So I have my dream board from you. So there you go. As a person, like, I've mapped out my life dream, and you've listened to that, and then you've gone, here you go, Dee, does this what this look like? And I had a bit of a tough time with it recently, and I sent you a bit of a message, didn't I? And then you sent me a lovely visual going, this is what it sounds like where you are at the moment. I'm like, that's really lovely. Thank you. Like, it's just brilliant. Then organisationally, like, you come in and listen to teams and you capture what they're sharing. Like, it's brilliant. Yeah. And Andy Griffiths, who's a Mo trustee and also runs a really brilliant organisation called Investor Forum, he's used you and he brings you in, and he loves the work that you do. And then, bigger organisations, I've seen you've built murals on entire walls of their values and their story and everything else. It's incredible. It's incredible. And then you did the VR work as well, didn't you? The virtual reality work as well, which I was like, that looks really sexy. So it's just layers on layers. So if you haven't checked it out, we'll give you all the contacts to Natalia's website. The other thing that you got to do that I want you to tell the story is, come on, number 10 Downing Street, wasn't it? Or number 11 Downing Street? What happened?
That was ages ago. Like, what was his name? David Cameron, because I always say James Cameron, and then people laugh at me. That is not the director of Titanic. Yeah. Sorry. So yes, David Cameron back in the day. So that was a job, of course, through a beautiful event for the highest people in the country and abroad. So the highest business moguls kind of invited to Prime Minister's garden to make a speech to them, how they want to work with them, how they appreciate them, all that good stuff. So here I am, super chickened. I was like 2014, 15, don't know now. It was ages ago. Terrified, but already working digitally with my little sad Samsung, kind of a little tablet that I drew on. And that was a problem because I entered the room, the facility, the space, and people were like, oh no, sorry miss, you have to take these away. You can't really have any tech with you or any tools, because of course we take them away for security and everything. And I was like, no, but that's my job. So anyways, that was fine. In the end, saw the speech. I basically visualized in real time the key moments of his speech. And that was, of course, all private, all for private use. You will never see the light of the day. But what a moment in terms of, yes, all the amazing companies that we work with, that is always such an amazing thing to get an email from anyone. Like recently we are speaking to UK Space Agency, and that is like my dream. Like, what? Like, every time I speak to interesting people like that, I'm just like, wow, how can we help them? This is so interesting and different. But to get to 10 Downing Street, the most known, I guess, address in UK, and have the pleasure of being in the same space with such inspiring people in terms of the guests that he invited and his eloquent speech, because it was a pretty eloquent speech. I was impressed. It is a moment. It's a moment. You can't lie. From a person who never studied art, came from a different country. Let's call me an immigrant if we want. With dreams. Yeah, well, a person from a different place.
I'm great. I think that's what we should rephrase immigrant to I'm great. There you go.
Love it. So anyways, but there are a few layers to me that you could totally say, well, she's not going to be in that room ever. So that was the moment of like, wow, okay, even Prime Minister believes in visualizing his messages. I love that. Yeah. So there's something there, right? And it was definitely kind of a moment of like, wow, for me, for kind of my job.
It's absolutely phenomenal. It's really interesting because I'm not trying to pick words, but I think the thing is about what you've done is it's not a job. It's what you love. It's your passion. It's your purpose in life. It's what gives you meaning. And you've found a way. And I'm always aware of the kind of ikigai, finding purpose in life, do what you love and then find a way that kind of earn money from it. And here we are. Here's someone who's absolutely living their life on purpose. It's just incredible. Life less ordinary, as I would call it. You really are living your life less ordinary on your terms, which is just beautiful. And I also know that you're really proud that you got to go back home and go on, wasn't it one of the most famous or the biggest Polish kids programs? Was that right? Is it?
It's like a morning show. It's like, think of it. BBC.
Morning show. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought it was a kids show. Sorry, morning show. Sorry, I didn't mean that Polish TV.
It's fine. Yeah. So actually went there 3 times. They kind of invite me every other year or something because they had like 10-year anniversary, something, 15-year anniversary. So here I am, even during the pandemic when it was okay to fly and everything. I visualized their morning show and their 15 years and all the hosts and everything. Now they printed it beautifully in the office and they still email me how everyone that comes in is such a conversation starter. What a lovely, again, adventure. So yes, my mom becomes famous for a month in her hometown and everyone's happy.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's so fantastic.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. And then also, where else around the world? Because the other thing that you were doing pre-pandemic, and I'm sure it will come back on, was conferences, wasn't it? You go to conferences and you'd be that person capturing the conference on the side or even sitting on your tablet as well. Sometimes you weren't even stood up there, were you? So tell us that story. Like, tell us some of the international travel that you've had the opportunity to do.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it comes back. Let's see how it goes. But my job, my dream, my passion allowed me to fly many times to different countries, even including US and, all around Europe. And we've been always, working at sometimes 10K or more conference size people and just kind of visualizing all the talks and working on their social content and all that stuff. So it's crazy how, it took me to places like New York, San Francisco, Miami, most beautiful places in Europe, most beautiful venues as well. So sometimes it could be in UK, but we ended up in some freaking castle in the middle of Midlands or something. So just fascinating to see that world from that perspective, that each job, each project kind of can lead you to so many different adventures. You meet great people, you meet interesting people. Often when there's a client, there's also consultants, there's coaches, and you meet them during your evening after work. And it's just beautifully growing your network without even knowing through these experiences. So of course, yes, now everything's virtual, but let's see how we go. Let's see how we get on. I already see more movement in events and people are kind of more confident to start planning autumn events. So let's see how it goes. But a lot of flying, which again wouldn't predict. Hello. Hold on. Hello.
So sorry, Nat, it's my technology just went down, so we're going to make this real, this podcast. Other people would try and hide away from that, but my internet just went down, so we sort of lost a bit of the flow there. So I'm sorry about that.
This is reality.
So you were sharing the fact that absolutely, like that's what we want to do on this one is like go. Actually, like what I love is the podcasts that are really, really they're all brilliant, but the ones I really love is like where it's real. It's like this is how it really goes down.
Edited.
That's why I love yeah, like Joe Rogan stuff, like, everyone would say him, but there's him, but there's others that, I like the 5 Live, I like all sorts of different stuff, but yeah, I want this to be really honest and real. So, I've got fibre being connected in the next couple of weeks and I can't wait because I've had enough of the internet going down because it keeps interrupting these wonderful conversations. So you were sharing, you're getting to work with this incredible portfolio. You've got to work with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. You've travelled internationally. You've spoken on Polish TV, made your mum a superstar forever, I'm sure, in her community, which is amazing. So, where, when you look out to the future, what do you see for Natalka Design? You were just been, actually, before we go into the visuals, actually, I do want to capture this. So we've just been through COVID, right? And we were sharing very early on that one of the things that we wanted to instill is some of those kind of really solid foundations about what it is to be a successful business owner and entrepreneur. Now, unfortunately, COVID-19 would have rocked a lot of people and would have thrown a load of people out of that boat, which is really shocking. And you seem to have fared pretty well through it. I know it's shocking. We've had a couple of conversations. I know it's been difficult at times. But so what are some of the fundamentals that you've put in place that meant that you've surfed through or got through this fairly unscathed, this
savings?
Period?
number one. So I, when it goes well, I don't just go and buy a boat. Let's say. So I'm pretty smart with my money. I think that always helps. So knowing that I can cruise through these months without even any work, so that really helps. Still continuing to speak to people. The only problem was how you speak to people. So you can't no longer just like send like, here's our latest offer or whatever. Not that I always spoke like that anyways, but you had to approach things so gently, so carefully. Everyone was going through something else. People had kids at home. People lost their jobs. People lost their loved ones. Whatever else was happening, still continue the conversation. Don't just hide away, but take it as it's time to catch up. It's just time to catch up, whoever wants to catch up. And at the beginning, of course, everyone was quite open to Zooms and everything. Then the Zoom fatigue hit and no one wants to talk to anyone anymore, which I totally appreciate. But I continued the conversation. I reflected on the business. It actually allowed me to reflect on the business first time in 9 years. And what that means, I always tried to improve the website. I always tried to improve the colors, whatever. But it was a deeper dive in. So I looked at what are we? What are we here for? What are we doing? What is the purpose? Is this way of doing services the best way? Is this kind of a setup the best way, or could it be better? So I literally hoovered through the business like no other. Another thing that really helped me, and I always say there's so many things out there, please be open-minded and research them. I joined two kind of programs for women in business during pandemic, which was all virtual. I met some lovely other women in business. I had some once a week, once every other week conversations with other people that just kept us positive in this whole space. So I did a Hatch program for women. I did a then JP Morgan program for women for 3 or so months. I had a mentor, amazing lady that still speaks to me. And it was really helpful to just talk through the practical stuff in the business, the things that are not great, the things that are great, what can I do better, all that stuff. So in short, I was completely still, it gave me the time to reflect, to improve, to hoover through, as I say, to clean up, to get rid of the things that I don't need. And I think that everyone went through a bit of a cleanse, even in a personal way, in a business way. I at least felt like that, where you kind of, how do I say that? You really look at with perspective at life, and you're like, what are the things I really want to invite in my life, and what are the things I definitely don't need to invite anymore? In a personal manner, in a business manner, it was just all a collective cleanse. So it really helped me in that way to kind of like, when things hopefully start getting back up, I'll be a bit more equipped, a bit in a better place. I can speak about what I do in a more confident way. And that's kind of what's been happening. And I've been seeing a lot of, I guess, good results from it. So it was a gift of COVID. Let's say, if I can say that, of course, the worst time for so many people, but it was a gift on those levels for myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I really agree with you. I mean, I went through a really tough period through COVID, like really struggled with it, like the sense of loss of liberty and identity, and the government suddenly stopping us from going out. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I've never experienced this in my life. A government telling me what to do. Whereas obviously yourself and Mirka, you post-communist world, there was a bit more understanding of that. That sort of an organisation or a group outside of you can tell you and can limit your freedom. I really struggle with it, but and also the Mo went through a really difficult period, took us to the wall almost financially. AC as well went through a really difficult period. And, like you're saying, we really took a long, hard look and we reflected and we did a deep dive, as you were sharing. And, we've come out better. Like Mo has never been more successful, never been more international. AC has never been, more successful, has never been, better financially. We've got an incredible team and a community. So I think, I hear it called lots of different things, but one of the things is an existential crisis. So where it's challenging your sense of meaning and purpose in life. And then it's the existential opportunity. And it's funny, that the ex-CEO of Network Rail, and one of the people that we both know was Steve Featherstone. He used to say to us, never miss the opportunity in a crisis. And it sounds like you've taken that opportunity. You've not missed that opportunity in this
but at
crisis.
The beginning I was going through that crisis a bit. I discussed it with my good friend. There's this, what is this famous triangle of needs? There's food,
Oh yes,
So,
Maslow's hierarchy.
shelter,
Maslow's hierarchy.
relationships, friendships, whatever. And then we go up, kind of feeling needed, feeling like you have a purpose, feeling needed and all that stuff. And that tip of that triangle, first time since I think starting the business, which is a very weird reflection. I felt like this at the start of the business where, well, am I making any sense? Is there any value to what I do? Do people need me, or is that like a gimmick? Is it nice to have or must have? What am I doing with the skill? And it really bounced back at the beginning of COVID, where I felt the same things because, of course, the calls are not happening anymore. The emails are not happening. All your events are canceled. No one's going to suddenly pick up a new project for you. Of course, a lot of businesses as well thrive. Let's be honest. If you're a software or you were selling hand gel, you were doing amazingly.
Yeah.
But apart from it, lots of us experience that silence, right? That stillness. And I was struggling at the beginning, like just, talking to my friend, I was like, well, am I really needed? Or is that like, again, these questions pop up. And it was a very interesting space to be in where you're like, am I giving value? What am I doing? How is that helping people? And those questions really helped me to come back stronger with this total cleanse of the business in terms of, I know I'm giving value. I know I'm needed. But we realize we work when other people work. We are a service company. We are here to serve you, to help you to better your messaging, your information, your storytelling. But when you are active, so I don't work when my clients are scared and not working or hiding. So it was a very interesting kind of period to you had to really think about what am I doing in my life? What is the value that I'm bringing? Am I bringing enough value? What is the bullshit? What is the no bullshit? And just it really helped to steer that, because there's never been time to sit and reflect properly. Let's be honest. If you're busy, you're busy. You don't reflect. So it was massively important to actually sit. You were told to sit down in your little sad space, and you're you're literally thinking, which there was never time to just sit and think. And it was mind-boggling. It was really needed.
Yeah, and I think there's lots of lessons, that we've got to go. We're not going to get into the profanity, or not profanities, the profound aspects of that. Not swearing, but the profound aspects. Because I think you're absolutely right. I think that actually, as humanity and as entrepreneurs, we've got to reflect, because my word, there's some big challenges we're facing into as humanity and humankind. So, but we'll save that for another conversation when we can get more philosophical. Let's keep it practical here today. And I love the fact that you're so aware of your emotions and that emotional roller coaster and that journey, because as I say, a lot of the literature I see doesn't talk about the emotional journey you go on as an entrepreneur and as a creative and as a person that's trying to bring value to the world. And you are, and I love the fact that you're so honest and candid about it as well. So back to where I wanted to kind of go. Now we're sort of coming through 2021, your clients are starting to get busier. They're not hiding so much anymore. So, what does it look like over the next 5-10 years? So take yourself out to 2030. Where could you be? What does that look like for you potentially? If you dare to dream, what do you dare to dream?
I don't know why I never liked these. I'm very much what is going on now? Whenever we did these dream boards and things, I was like, I don't see anything. So not to say that I don't dream big or I don't make plans or I don't hope, but I am one of those people that whenever at any stage of this whole experience with my business, you would ask me, what's your business plan? What is this? What's your next 5 years? I honestly would say, I don't know. And not to say that I don't plan again or whatever or strategize. I strategize, but I'm very... How do I say that? I'm moldable. I flex a lot. I change in the quickest manner if I need to. Tomorrow you might not see the services that I do today if I need to. So it's on, I have my personal plans. I have my hopes. I have my dreams. I hope that Natalka Design as a business gets stronger, less reliable on me as a person. So I'm constantly working on that, where I am the person, the face of the company, you name it, whatever you want to name it. I'm the creative lead. I'm the, business developer, but I'm also more and more excited going through years to, hand over amazing different parts of the business to other people who are better than me at that, so introducing the comms manager that I have now, yes, still part-time because I'm learning everything step by step, as I said, but I like the step by step. So I see that he can take some of the load, and he's so much better at this. Like, so why wouldn't I? That's amazing. So I'm investing in someone, they're learning something, I'm learning something, I'm totally at peace with not having a clue what I'm doing and being open to learn. And so I'm trying to be this person where more parts of my business can be handed to someone else, and actively working on it, of course, with the means that I have, because I have no investment, nothing like that in plan. And my dreams are not really into, again, having this 50 people office somewhere with a big investor and having to pay them off. That's never been the dream, I guess, for me. The dream is to steadily, slowly, step by step, grow this business in a, how do I say that, pragmatic, let's call it, way, from person to person, try to introduce more people to the team, try to win the bigger projects, try to win the more retainer projects that can hold us for a year, that I know what I can plan with my time and with my team. So I would like to see in the future years that I can be choosing more of the projects I want to do, be the creative lead, but step aside where I need to, and let other people thrive and run it and create, because it's very actually exciting to, it's quite lonely, as we always say, as an entrepreneur, to just do everything by yourself and try to know everything by yourself is quite lonely. So now to have few other people to kind of bounce ideas back and forth and have their perspective on something, or like, oh, you know what, I would name this like this, or I would write to them like this. I'm like, I never thought about it. So it's very refreshing to get other people's perspective into the space. And I guess that's where I would like to see this. But if you ask me for the 5-10, like, forget it. No, I don't know. Yeah.
And yet you've just done it. It's so interesting, isn't it? Like, but you have, and I think it's really interesting because I think you've picked up on something that I want to talk about for a second. Excuse me, is lifestyle entrepreneur. You've built a lifestyle brand. You want a certain lifestyle. You are a classic digital native. You can pick yourself up and be wherever you want in the world and still be successful, which is incredible. And I think more and more of the future generation, so my kids growing up, that's their world. My kids can be anywhere in the world. My issue with Brexit was was the fact that we were losing that sense of European identity and freedom for my children to be anywhere they wanted to be in that wonderful whole of Europe, and being part of the European family. That's what I really struggled with on that, but I've sort of come to terms with it, and I hope we can find the right way going forwards. But our kids are going to be internationalists, global citizens. They really are, which is so exciting. And you're living that. I think the other thing that I want to just sort of bring to life is I love that fluidity, that adaptability, that dynamic, that agile, that nimble, that really listening and observing and seeing what your clients and how you can be in service to them. You're doing that. And the fact that you can shift your products and services and change it to kind of meet the changing market needs, I think is really important as well. The fact that you kept your cost base nice and tight, you work from home, you're you've got a virtual business, and then you bring talent in, and you've just said there is, I believe in them and I invest in them, and you bring in people that are better than you. And that is one of the fundamental things that I see about successful leaders and entrepreneurs, is that their ego is in check, they're humble and they're excellent, and they go, no, I want to bring people in that are better than me. And that's brilliant. So it's really, whilst you say, I'm not sure about what that potentially looks like, and whilst you might not have here we are, this is exactly what it is, you have got a sense of the sort of direction it's going to go in. And I know you'll adapt. So really lovely to hear that. So lifestyle entrepreneur we've just talked about, or portfolio lifestyle entrepreneur. Something else that I think is unique about you, Nat, and again, we've never really talked about this, is that I think you're a creative serial entrepreneur, because not only have you built Natalka Design, you've also built, 2 years after Natalka Design, you built Doodly Doo, is it? I always get it, is it Doodly Doo? Yeah. So no, it's not. It's amazing. It's me. I'm always like, is it Doodly Doo? And I'm always questioning myself. I'm always like, I'm sure it's Doodly Doo. So Doodly Doo, how did that come about? And then what is it? Because it's amazing what you've created. I mean, it really is another amazing. Here we go. Nats has had a creative idea and inspiration, and she's nailed it and made it happen. So tell us the story of Doodly Doo.
It's like a spin-off of Natalka Design. It's like I call it like a mischievous child of Natalka Design. Natalka Design is the responsible corporate provider, the mother, the one that you can, securely put your, projects into. And Doodly Doo is this kind of like sprung out of nowhere. And it's a project that allows me to, as much as Natalka Design is very much B2B, and we are providing and helping people within the companies, and a lot of it is internal and will never see the light of the day. B2C was very kind of something I really wanted to experience, and Doodly Do allows me that, because it's basically doodling events that started as I built the website, like, no joke, because you can build these things these days quickly on Squarespace. I built it in the evening. I doodled the logo, literally doodled, and it stayed like that because it is what it is. And I was just needing, I needed some sort of external kind of experiences for people. And I heard so much of the clients and my peers and friends and everyone around me saying, oh, you're this amazing drawer and, you know, the things that you do, but I can't draw for life. Like, what is that? I can't draw. I'm useless. What a negative self-talk everyone was giving me. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, yes, okay, that's true. I'm biased a bit here because I grew up drawing nonstop. It's such a skill, as I call it, the longest internship in my life. So I've got the 10,000 hours nailed. You know, it is something that builds so much that wake me up at 4 a.m. I will visualize your prime minister speech like that from my bed. But I was thinking about all the people that are curious, are interested in the world of doodling and drawing and sketching, but it's not something in their everyday life, but they would like to try. So I thought, okay, how about I can just bring some people together, throw some papers and pens at them, no agenda, no nothing, whatever, we'll figure it out, make some drawing games, timed games. All I want to do is for them to interact, have fun, connect, bond, get to know each other better, and suddenly after an hour realize that they used a skill that they were always terrified of or scared of or thought of themselves less of, that they're useless. And they will still, let's be honest, they will not become Disney animators after an hour of Doodly Do, but the body language change, the confidence that they get, and the weird relief that they get from just experiencing using the right side of the brain in a bit different way for a second, rather than typing, computer, conversations, decks, whatever, brought so much like life and spirit to them. So it started as like physical events for public. Then it went to 20 different countries because people started knocking on my door and asking, can I start it in Toronto? Can I start it in New York? Can I start it in Zambia? Whatever. I'm like, I guess. So that's how it started as a public thing. But then I brought it very much quickly into the businesses. And we've done Doodly Doos, team building Doodly Doos for the likes of Gap, Sony, Microsoft, you name it, and did some cool partnerships. So now it's all virtual, but it's working really well. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. And it's in 20 cities across the world. It started this way.
Of course, pandemic and everything, killed it off. Like to say there was a regular thing. So in some countries it was a regular, in some countries it was a pop-up. There was one in here, one in there, two in there, depending on, of course, people's availability. But it had its own life. It had its own vibe. And now it just put it into virtual, and it's almost weekly that we have a session with a company that wants to have fun for an hour, or we now do this well-being hour where we're putting some music on and you're doodling to it. So it's more relaxing, kind of taking care of your mental state kind of experience. So we're playing with different types of products. What can we do? How can doodling and that sort of behavior enhance your well-being, literally? Because even if you have fun, that's your well-being, right, at work. So trying to play with that a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, it's and I love the sense of there's the mother, the responsible mother, and then there's this naughty, mischievous, playful child. I love that. I love the fact that you've kind of set that out, and I think it's really interesting because I'm fascinated with psychology, and I think we know from psychology, from transactional analysis, that actually there's these things called ego states that all of us have got. And the one that you're talking about there is natural child. And our natural child is where all the imagination and creativity tends to sit. And the fact that you set up a system and an environment where it's okay to be playful, is amazing. And it's, it takes me to sort of Lego. Lego do all these sorts of different things about that in organizations as well. And that's what Doodly Do does. It's not just for organizations, as I know. You started it as B2C, and it's phenomenal that it's grown. So I just want to pull out some of the insights that you've learned there. So you just had this idea, you just did a little doodle and you just started it. You just followed your intuition and you went with that. And then you built the website quickly for low cost, put it out there. How have people gone I've found Nat. I want to kind of talk to you about that. How have they found you? How's it just grown? Because I know with you, it's like, I love the fact you're so pragmatic, but it's just started to grow internationally into all these different cities. How did the people find you? What is it? Give me a story.
Social, putting it out there. So we did one, we
Yep.
filmed it, we put it on YouTube, we put it on social, we started talking about it on LinkedIn. I mean, all these tools, let's be honest, they help you massively these days. If I start Natalia Design before
Yep.
all these tools, it would be a completely different experience. Me saying hi to you on Twitter maybe would never happen in real life. Maybe I would never bump into you. Maybe it wouldn't be the same setup. So use the tools. There's so many these days. We're doing our podcast. I'm in London. You're in your beautiful house. We're still talking, right? So we
Yep.
spread the word, and then suddenly, you send, you share it with people in art kind of spaces and groups and all that. And someone from Ireland suddenly was like, I would like to start it. I love doodling and I know a lot of people. I love networking, but it's a bit boring and it's just beer and ping pong. Can I start it? So that's how it went that way. And it was just like a word of mouth situation. So now with the virtual, the same thing can happen. So that's the beautiful thing about the whole virtual world. It just opens up everything globally. So I can have a session with Japanese client. I can have a session with, a New York client or London client. So it doesn't really matter. So that openness to global experience now I think it's magical. You should use it as much as you can, if your work.
Yeah, and I think it's really important because I think one of the things that I've learned, and I've learned this for myself, and last 2 years of my life, I've hidden my voice away personally. I've taken a bit of time out and reflected quite profoundly on who I am and where I want to be, and I've spent wonderful time with my family, which I think one of the things that I've reflected on is that I was so driven. I'm 50 next year, and I've driven my life so hard to be successful. And I've had the opportunity to take some time out and stop and not be so work centric. And I think that's it's really wonderful. But the reason I'm sharing that story is because it's like, I've finally figured out that actually I don't want to just be a work slave. So, and I think you've got the right balance on that. But the thing that's happened is that I hid my voice, right? For the first time in my life that I can remember, I've hidden my voice for the last 2 years, and I've just been the invisible hand. And I even put that on my LinkedIn. And I love being the invisible hand. I really do love that space, but you have to have a voice. You have to share your voice. And what I love about both your stories is that you were scared, there was fear, and you pushed beyond it and you put it out there. And guess what? People went, actually, really love what you're doing. You can trust the world is basically what I'm trying to say, is you have to have a voice. You have to put it out there. And Doodly Do just really demonstrates it, because it's not like you've got these people that are employed by you. You don't pay them, do you? And they're connected into it because they love the idea and they're like, I want to do something that's fun and different. And they found you because you've been bold, because you've been honest about what you sense in the world and what you'd love to do. And I think that's a massive message for people that have got a dream, is you've got to put that dream out there. And I know, and I know like the fear that you have to get over, like authors will know, anyone that is a content creator, a creative, like it is scary at times to put yourself out there and reveal yourself. And you're like, will I get rejected? Will people laugh at me? There's all that emotional play that plays out. And I love the fact that you've just declared it, put it out there, and you're attracting these wonderful people that get you and that connect into that vision and idea. And then from what you're sharing is they're taking that forwards, because, I'm sure you don't control what goes on in those meetings.
It's like the most wonderful, I think I always learn, like whenever I was doing those doodly doos in person. So sometimes imagine the scene, you're doing the event, but you have to come 2 hours before, you have to set it up. It's a lot of work, like you don't even expect, it's not a money maker. It's just an experience you want to have with people. And of course it grows your brand. So of course there's my agenda there, but the main agenda is to kind of like, how can I make this amazing experience? And, if someone gives me a tenner, it's not going to break my bank or anything, but it's just something to try and test. And, always after these doodly doos, you pack, there's a mess, you're home after 10 p.m. in an empty tube, you're tired and all that. And you're thinking like, why the hell do I do that? Let's think about this. Why do I need this part of my life? And quickly I realize, and I see in other people, this energy, this like happiness going through my body. I spent some quality time with other people. I made them laugh. I made them connect. I made them enjoy themselves. I made them put away that bloody phone for a second. And seeing that as well, let's say that happened in Nairobi, where how is that even possible? I will never probably be there. A bunch of lovely people connected, sat down, drew, laughed, or whatever, because I can see from the videos and pictures. Apparently, even someone, it says still not checked correctly, but someone got married through meeting at Doodly Doo. I mean, my life is like, my life goals are met.
Wow.
So it's a tool, it's a vehicle that allowed me to touch and affect people beyond myself, beyond my room, beyond my city, beyond my existence, because they'll never meet me probably. So that's the interesting part of it, that like, wow, if I made one person smile somewhere in Nairobi, because maybe they had a shitty day and they went to Doodly Doo and they have now, like, they met some friends, they're feeling better about themselves, they maybe start doodling after that. I mean, that is those reasons for my existence are then growing, and that kind of like feeling needed and feeling valued and feeling like I'm giving something more to the world is coming back massively in like heaps. So that's why I kind of like, make sure that they both exist.
Yeah, well, I mean, so it's really interesting because I've just had a day sitting with my oldest and best friend on the fishing lakes, and we were talking about Mo and the fact that we're such a contributor spirit and everything. And he said, and he was challenging me around not that, because he absolutely gets it, but he's also saying, and what are you going to do commercially? What's your next big thing commercially? And I'm like, I'm still coming. It's still coming. And I was explaining to him like the emotional goodwill that I get from like seeing what Mo does and what the AC does and all these other things. It's just amazing. Isn't it? It's like the flow back that you get, like, just makes you feel so good. Your own emotional bank account just starts to kind of grow because of the goodwill and seeing people do stuff that matters to them is just incredible. So incredible story there. And voice. So we picked up a little bit about voice. Now, I don't know this story. I don't know how this happened, but what I do know is, like, you've done ridiculous number of TEDx talks now. So how many TEDx's have you done? 6. Oh my God. I've done 1 and I was proud of that. And I don't need to do it again. It was wonderful. 6. You've done 6, which is amazing, right? So here we are talking about, and the other thing that I'm just going to share with you what's going on as I listen to you is it almost feels like I remember that kind of scared, timid, fearful young lady. You were a young lady. You weren't a little girl. You were a young lady who had all this potential. And here I'm like going, wow, this is a powerhouse. Like, not in a alpha female sort of stylistic, but in a really humble, excellent, got it. I know what I'm doing. I've got myself here. I'm sorted. Like, and I'm here. You're talking about self-actualization on that Maslow, right? There's a part that doesn't get talked about, actually, which is the bit that I'm always fascinated in. So there's self-actualization, but then there's self-realization. And for me, what that means is it's like you start forgetting yourself and you help others. And I'm hearing there's elements of that now really creeping into you. It's about, how do I serve the wider group? And I think that that says quite a lot about your personal entrepreneurial and personal development, which is incredible. So TEDx, 6 of these, right? How have you done that?
You do one and then you suddenly kind of get invited. So that's one of the ways, because it's such a global community and people start to know each other. And first of all, it wasn't my first one. So I did like 2 TEDx's, and then I decided to co-run a TEDx in London ages ago, like 2012, before even Natalka Design was anything. Again, another way of me trying to put myself out there and create something, right? Because it was all voluntary, you're not paid, long hours, but through running TEDx ages ago, still till this day, I met my 2 best friends. What a gift. Other people that I know, not as my closest friends, but just you meet the most amazing people, because everyone's just there to give their energy, learn something, find amazing speakers, and just gift that to other people because they learn as they go. So first ones, I was basically invited. I think my first one, I don't remember, it was maybe in Switzerland, maybe in Poland, I'm not sure yet. But I traveled around. But you kind of like, when you do one and you organized it, you're in that family, and someone suddenly is like, Natalia, would you like to do one in France? We're doing one. Our students are running one. Would you like to come? So it kind of like flows like that. And other times you just actively can suggest. So why not? Another kind of confidence kind of moment from you. So let's say you see one in Monaco and you mention that you've done 1 or 2 and you run it. So you know the community, you love it. And see if they want to consider you. So either you give the energy or the energy comes back to you again. So, I've always been like that. If I see something interesting, as you say, I just ask. I don't expect anything to come back. Zero expectations. Totally fine if you don't even care who I am, but I'll always ask and see what happens. So that's always been me.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think you've done, I have to admit, I haven't watched all of them. I've watched 2 or 3 of them, and what I was struck by is they're all different. Is that right? You've talked about a different subject, because I see other people, what they do is they go, I've got a theme, and then I just talk to that theme. I don't change the story, or I adapt the story slightly. Whereas yours has got a central theme, but it's like you've gone off in different directions. Almost, I don't know if this is right, because I say I haven't done my research, but it's like it feels like you're sharing. This is what I know right now. Like this is where I've evolved to, and this is what I'm going to share. Some useful insights right now. Have I got that right? Or am I way
I
off
think
there?
that the themes always guide you. So let's say the theme will be ripples, or the theme will be future, and I just sit there and I'm like, okay, this is me as a human. I can't really speak about finances, technology, or anything, because I'm not going to pretend I'm not a person who knows this. There's amazing people out there, but I've got these skills, I've got this knowledge, I'm learning every year, I'm reflecting every year. So as you say, this is the theme, this is me now, this is what I've learned, how can I connect this?
Yep.
And of course it will be swimming around my world, because I'm not going to pretend I'm someone who is not, or speaking about stuff that I don't know, because imagine that would be funny. But I always try to find something within that theme. I always try to connect with it. So if the theme is resilience, okay, what is the story in my head about resilience that really reflects to me and I can share with these people? It's just kind of, I guess the themes really inspire you to, what is the world now? What do I know? What can I share? What is useful?
Yeah. No, well, it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. So, if we go back to sort of the beginning of that moment when we met, it's like it's quite phenomenal, like genuinely phenomenal. It's not quite 10 years, but it's not far off what you've achieved in a decade. One of my favorite phrases is, most people overestimate what they can achieve in 1 year, underestimate what they can achieve in 10. Very rarely consider what their life might be about, and very, very rarely think about what the future generational ripples could be. So generational legacy, and so it's quite wonderful. So when you sort of sit from where we are here right now, and you look back at your story of your sort of, I'll call it the creative entrepreneurial Nat that emerged, and there's loads of different identities that you've built from this. What are some of your deep personal reflections? What are you thankful for? What do you have gratitude for?
Do you have time? Because I have all the time. I'm grateful for so many things. If we focus on our conversation, I'm grateful for the chance given to be listened to and to have a moment to speak to someone again from outside of completely my circle. And I think, it just shows how, like, never underestimate any conversation or any connection with a human you have, because you really never know. It can go somewhere. It doesn't have to go somewhere. It can come back to you in 3 years. It can, you never know, right? But just grateful for having that instilled belief that I can do things and then running with it. I'm grateful for trusting myself that I can do it. I'm grateful for all the opportunities every day. And still am. I don't take anything for granted. So if this goes down tomorrow, still, who am I? What kind of person am I? What am I doing? Will I freak out? Will I still continue? Will I still continue to create and figure it out? I will, because the 10 years almost kind of, taught me there's ups and downs. There'll be nice people in your life. There'll be not nice people in your life. You will behave in this way. You will behave in that way. What a learning, but it's just a bag of feeling grateful for the people that I met, including yourself, for the chance being given, for being able to show my skills and share them with the world, because that is a great feeling to have, for all the opportunities, for living where I live, because I've always spoke about it, like I could not get the same opportunities in Poland, even observing it now. Yes, it's growing, it's becoming more creative, more people are coming into it, more technology is growing, it's really exciting to see. But my 10 years here were supposed to happen here, like all the opportunities that London as a city, people, communities, everyone opened up for me. I couldn't ask for more. So there's a lot to be grateful about, but definitely the people that I met on the way, including yourself, because that's where the conversation, that's where the journey starts in a way.
Yeah, and I think it's really, I always know that you've got huge gratitude in life. I think it's really great that you appreciate yourself as well, because actually it's you that's made this happen, and I think that's really important. Yes, you've had some people that believe in you, and then it's grown, and now people benefit from you, but you've made it happen. You take it, as you are, own what you've done, and I think that's a message that I, do really want to get to people that are hoping to create their own business, their own lifestyle organization, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what label you give it. It's like, actually own your power. Like, it should have almost, a friend of mine once said to me, Mo should have been called Ministry of Empowerment, because it really is. And your story is testament to that, is that you've empowered yourself. Like, yes, I believed in you, and then there's other people that absolutely, you've made it happen. You genuinely have made it happen. And you've just gone on this incredible, magical, creative path that will collide you with Disney at some point. I'm sure of it. You will get to work more with them. We know that will happen. It just will do, because the universe will conspire. And what I mean by that is someone will listen to this, or someone will hear you would love to do it, and they'll go, oh, I know Disney, I'd love to connect you. So wonderful. So one of the things that I want it to be, and I know this will be this is a sort of final section now, really, is pragmatic. So when talking to some of the young people, not young people, because starting a business is a scary moment. I just spoke to a guy yesterday who's leaving the BBC after 20 years, and I could just hear the fear in him, like, oh my goodness, and yet he's got a phenomenal experience, like, and I'm like, oh, you don't need to worry, mate, you're going to be fine. And he's like, well, I'm not ready to set up my own business. And I'm like, absolutely. So it's not just about young people. It is about people that could be at midlife. It could be people that have retired and go, I want to set up a business. It could be people, like David Attenborough, who are 92 and still wanting to hack it, who is my hero. He's absolutely one of my heroes. I want to be like him, still working at that age and making a contribution in the world. So what are your pragmatic Natalka's top tips? However many you want, however few you want, what are your top tips?
Just do it. And I need to sing it because, and I have an amazing example, just like you said, I'm not going to say his name, a dad of two, working in different industries in social media for years, same situation, terrified of making a change. For different reasons, the change arrived at him. Do I want to continue to work for someone? Very interesting. Or do I want to start something that I always felt in my gut? He's been talking to me for years about wanting to try this whole freelance world and doing projects on his own and on his own terms. And guess what happened? And I was the same like you. You don't have to worry. And he's like, no, but money, but this, but how, but who's going to talk to me, especially pandemic, blah, blah, blah. What happened? Even during, he was leaving the job, he's now full on busy with different projects. And it's out of capacity. And I'm not saying that all came to him out of nowhere. What did he do? I always said to him, talk to humans. Share where you are right now. What do you do? The experience and everything will literally follow you because you've got experience. You can't even, it's there because you have a beautiful portfolio, because you know people. You always know people, and people know people. So even if in your closest circle, no one's going to be like, I've got an offer for you, I've got a project for you. John knows 10 other people. 10 other people know 10 other people. There's that beauty of kind of word of mouth and kind of, but being in touch. So I always say, talk to other people, whatever age, whatever situation, wherever you are. This whole experience, whether you want it or not, shows us that you can start businesses very much from your room, with your little laptop, setting up a website in a day, setting up social in a second day, talking to people on a third day, see what happens. But also don't expect that the entire world was going to call you on the fourth day. Keep talking on the fifth day, keep talking on the sixth day, listen to them, listen to what they want. Do they want this? Or maybe they actually suggest and want to bring in their suggestions, what actually looks like. What they think they need. Reflect, ask people, but also make sure that you do something that you really feel strongly about. So if I say I really like green, but you're like, nah, I prefer red, you should go with red. If in my gut, I feel that it's definitely green and I want to test it, even if it fails, test it, test the green, and then continue to develop, listen and all that. But never forget like the core. If at the core you're green, show it to the world, talk to people. So that's the only thing I've always been saying. Like, don't sit there. If you are an amazing poet writer, or you make some beautiful crafts and arts or pottery, or you cook super amazingly, or you've always been that chatty person that no one can stop, and that means you could start an amazing podcast with some humans, try, do it, talk to people, talk. Yeah.
Amazing, absolutely phenomenal. So we could go on for hours, and like, this is just take one of this, because we're going to be doing this again. Like, we know that, because there's just so many more avenues that we could have explored. And I love your candor, your honesty, that, people use the word authentic too often, but for me, you're real. Like, I love your realness, and I love how honest you are and candid you are about the highs and the lows and the challenges and the difficulties and the kind of a maturing that you have to go through as if you want to be successful with running your own business. And it's not just about running a business. This, what we're talking about, is life. This is about, jeepers. When I think, as I say, I'm getting towards 50, and I think I've probably gone through several midlife crises, but actually through those crises, through those dark periods, through those difficulties, you learn, you grow, and hopefully you kind of go, no, actually, I want to be a better human being. I want to live a better life. I want to make more, bring more value to the world. And, it's just so immense to hear your story and hear where you are in life. So well done you. And thank you for sharing those tips. For the people that would love to connect with you, which I think will be lots, where do they find you in the world?
Website, so the good old natalkadesign.com, or on social, Natalka Design, or I can also leave my personal social, which is Instagram and Twitter and all these things. There's always a way, but yeah, you can always find me through natalkadesign.com. Doodly Doo is being built now, so don't go there. Rebuild. But yeah, there's many ways. So yeah, always happy to chat, always happy to say hello.
Fantastic. Well, especially anyone from the Mo community that's listening out, do check out Natalia's. But people from beyond that, please do, and come and have a look at Mo as well. And it's just been fabulous. You are, for me, the kind of the original Mo mentee. But I'm deeply proud of being sort of associated to you and knowing you. But really proud of who you are. You're not just somebody that's successful, but you're kind and you're caring and you're supporting and you're kind of paying it forwards. And I think that's one of the biggest gifts that we can provide in life. So well done you. It's been an absolute pleasure, and look forward to the next installment.
Is it in a 10-year next year, or?
No, I don't think so. We'll see. Who knows where this pod adventure is going to take us? I'm really enjoying this. And I tell you, I'm happy to share why. So I was really afraid to kind of start doing this, and the AC were like, no, come on, do a series, launch our podcast, really get our podcast going. So I started it, and I fell in love with it, because what do I love? I love listening to people. I love hearing their life stories. I love asking them questions that can be, and we're recording this. And when you think about what I was sharing about generational legacy. I know that this media that we're creating now, this content that we're creating now, can last, and actually future generations that I will never get to know might well be listening to this. They'll be listening to you, they'll be listening to our conversation. And so for me, that's why it deepens it. And I love this as a you talked about ripples, so audio ripples that can go out across the world and hopefully influence and impact people positively. So that's why I love it.
Can't wait to listen to all of them. Very nice. And you look like a DJ.
Brilliant. An old craggy one. I'm only kidding. That was me kidding. No, brilliant. Well, thanks for your time. That's been a real pleasure.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening. What an inspiring talk between Darren and Natalia. Amazing how Natalia really highlights the power of word of mouth and the ripple effect that it can have. Something that we strongly believe in here at Mo. If you're a Mo graduate and would like to get in touch and share your story, please get in touch with me at maisie@mofoundation.com. That's MAISIE at mofoundation.com. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, please make sure that you are subscribed to our channel. And you can also find us on social media at Mo Foundation. Thanks again for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Now, this is a message for anybody who thinks that life coaching might be the right calling for you, but you're not sure how to attract new clients. So on the 17th of April, we will be having our next Mo Digital Academy. Keely Vuong White, the founder of Kia Ora Coaching, is going to be talking to us about how to attract clients as a new life coach, a 90-minute long introduction to marketing. Now, she's had a fantastic life and has spent 15 years in international corporate marketing and has also learned a thing or two about setting up a business. And she's also done her coaching with the Mo Foundation. So she's going to be running a fantastic workshop. We hope to see you there. If you're interested and you'd like to register, then please find more information on our website. That's mofoundation.com/calendar. Thanks so much, and we will see you there.